Good morning. It's day 15 on our transformative personal journey through Lent. You're joining me this morning, very early morning, on my front porch with the only light. There's no light around. I live a couple of miles north of town. No light except the light of the silvery moon and a small candle that I'm holding in order to see what I'm going to say to you this morning. I wanted to ask you, do you ever slow down enough to really see the glory of God? Do you ever just push the pause button on the DVD of your life and just revel in the glory of God, just to give thanks to God for the incredible gifts of life? I mean, you don't have to know, you don't have to be a prophet to know that technology has made our world smaller and more complex at the same time and more sped up. We're living in a faster world than our parents did, and our children will live in a much faster world than we are right now. Frozen orange juice sales are on the decline because people don't want to wait to have them thaw before they have their orange juice. People don't like to wait. On the freeway, people are always multitasking and in a hurry. It's kind of like a free-for-all. You see that when people are driving on the freeway, they're talking on the cell phone, they're texting sometimes, all while holding in the wheel. They're eating. Our cars become our living rooms where we have this incredible stereo system, and how many cup holders we have is kind of a status symbol. One Sunday morning in church a couple years back, I asked people, what are some of the craziest things, and during the sermon I asked them, what are some of the craziest things you've seen people do while they're driving? And one person said, playing the saxophone. Playing the saxophone while he's driving, for goodness sakes. People are souped up. They're overstressed. They're overscheduled. They finish your sentence sometimes because they don't want to listen until you end your sentence. You finish the sentence here. I've had it up to here. I'm ready to throw in the towel. I'm at the end of my rope. I mean, you know the sentences, you know the feeling, that fast-paced pressure cooker style of life is just crazy, and it's so new to the human race that we hardly even know what kind of effect it's going to have on the rest of our lives. We want things, and we want it now. We hate waiting. I, for one, just hate waiting. I want what I want, and I want it right now. I don't want to wait. I pray, dear God, give me patience, but give it for me right now. It's early morning here in Central Oregon. Actually, it's about 4:15 a.m. I got up because I wanted to show you the incredible moon out here, and I'll bet you're thinking 4:15 a.m., don't he look good? Don't he look good? Actually, when I was in my first rural Wisconsin parish, we'd have funerals and open caskets the night before, and the most common expression when I'd be there with the family and people would walk by, they'd say, "Oh, don't she look good? Don't he look good?" And I was a young pastor, and I never worked up the courage to say, "He looks dead. He's dead. He's dead." That's what Lazarus was in our reading for today. Lazarus had died. He was in a tomb for 4 days, and in the thought of the time, the spirit left the body after 3 days. So Lazarus had been there 4 days. There was a stench that was coming from the tomb, and he was 4 days. He was good and dead. And here's the thing, when Jesus heard that Lazarus was sick, he waited. He waited for 2 days, and by the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Dead, stinky, smelly in that tomb, but Jesus waited. Jesus waited. Why in the world didn't he go right away? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go right away, but Jesus waited. Why did he wait? Well, because Jesus loved Lazarus and Jesus loved Mary and Martha. Love made Jesus stay those extra couple days. Love waited. Love and waiting meant in an ultimate way that Jesus was meeting the needs the deepest needs of Mary and Martha and Lazarus instead of satisfying their immediate wants. That's what love does. Jesus waited because it was the right thing to do for those who were involved. Jesus waited because he understood God's timing better than he understood Mary and Martha and Lazarus' timing. Jesus asked, did I not tell you that if you believed you would see the glory of God? Jesus said it's for God's glory. Jesus waited because it's for God's glory. So think about this. Instead of praying for God to grant you patience and grant it right now, because that's what I do, pray for God's glory to be done in your life. Pray for God's glory to be done in your life, even in the waiting. Sometimes God's glory will shine through your growth, through your personal growth, even in times of your waiting. Sometimes it will come through a way that God will work through you that never would have happened without the waiting. You pray for God's glory to be done, even in the waiting. And while you wait, you trust God's timing. Because God knows far more about things than you or I ever will. You trust God's timing. Eventually, behind me, the moon will set and the sun will rise. And the best thing we can do is just trust God to do each one of those, to set the moon, to rise the sun. Because if God can do that with the creation that God has so graciously given us, just think what God can accomplish in our lives if we wait and if we trust. And so we wait, because when we do, we see the glory of God. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye-bye.